Good morning, good morning, good morning, and happy Friday. I am your host, Sharifah Hardie, and we have an incredible show for you today. I think it's going to be some magic today because we have the Human Resorceress, Joanne Lakomski. Good morning, Joanne. How are
Good
you?
morning, Sharifah. It's so cool to be here. I'm doing really well.
I love marketing. I love ideas. And I always say marketing comes down to an idea. So, how did you come up with the Human Resorceress?
I was working at Antioch College, and one of my colleagues, Kevin Stokes, hey, Kevin, um, he came through the office one day. I was their human resources officer, and he said, "Oh, the human resorceress." I thought, yes, there we
Yes,
go. Yeah.
yes. It's magical. It has that little magical ring to it. So, what do you do? What does a human resourcerist do?
Um, let's see. I bring the idea of potential to everyone that I engage with. So, in the world of human resources, for those of you who have been in the business world, often people think of human resources as the place you go to hear no, and that
Right.
wasn't really my energy. My energy was more about let's understand what you're trying to accomplish and figure out in the playpen or the sandbox that we have in front of us, what
Mhm.
can you do? And how can you do it so that you get jazzed by what you're doing? And so it became about potentiating people so that they enjoy the things in their life.
No, I love it because in different positions, I come from a background where I was a dot-com baby. So I
Mhm.
always had these small companies that I start up,
Mhm.
and I always wound up somehow, some way playing the role of human resources. People would
Yes.
say, go talk to Sharifah. And then somehow I was like, how did I become HR? I don't know, but maybe it was just part of my personality. So how did you wind up in human resources?
So my learning background at Antioch College also was biology,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, and biology is about systems and about organisms, and that's about people in my mind. And I got to have the experience in the community I live in. There was lots of employee ownership in the
Mhm.
companies, and I worked for an employee-owned company, and that was again about helping people recognize sometimes you're an employee and sometimes you're an owner, and not everything is equal in those arenas. And so, where are you making your decisions? And I stepped out of a biology position at that company and into human resources because it was kind of that kind of company. Um,
No, I love it. It sounds interesting to me because one of the things that I've always loved about human resources is for me, it wasn't that part of the company that you go to hear no. For me, it was like almost a court, In courts, you have to say, for the record, let's put this on the record. And anytime you go officially, unofficially to speak with human resources, there is no off the record.
yes.
Everything you say to human resources is on the record. And I remember I had a situation where I worked at a company and my manager did something that I felt was very offensive to me. I had been sick the previous week, and I came back the next week, and I was asking her questions, and she said to me, she said, Sharifa, before I even answer your questions, are you okay? And
Mhm.
I said, what do you mean? She was like, um, you just you just seem super aggressive.
Mhm.
And I was like, super aggressive, you know? And I left that conversation, and it might sound very simple, but I
Mhm.
called our human resources rep and I said, I just want to, make you aware of this situation
Mhm.
because I have been sick. I hadn't been at work for 2 days and then over the weekend. So that should tell somebody I'm not I'm not
Yes.
feeling that well. But this particular manager chose to see my behavior, and I had been there for a long time. So this
Mhm.
to her was unusual. So instead of seeing me as someone who's not feeling well, she saw me as someone who was super aggressive, I guess, in my response. So when I spoke to human resources, she listened and she said, Sharifa, what do you want me to do? I said, I don't want you to do anything. I'm just creating a record,
Uh-huh.
because for
Mhm.
someone to say I'm super aggressive,
Yeah.
not just regular old aggressive, that tells me, my psychic powers always kick in situations. I'm like,
Yes.
we got to put this on the record, because I think, for me, if I'm being super aggressive, I should at least have thrown a chair or cursed her out or something. So to me, it's just like to have a good friend to say, I'm seeing it this way. I want to share this with you, and I'm letting you know, it's on the record.
Yes, I get that. The energy of can you differentiate the idea from parent and adult? And I think sometimes people at work are looking for a parent, and so that when someone can engage with you as an adult, it's a little different. And so you were engaging as an adult, and there was a bit of a parent in there.
Yes.
First person. Yeah. And it's about being an adult at work, not about being a parent or a child, actually. So
have you ever, let me just say, I read from the Arcanum deck. It's my favorite deck. I love this deck because this is the lover's card that's on the front of the box.
Yes.
And when I saw it, I just fell in love with the entire deck. And there are other cards that are so beautiful. But this to me is the symbol of true love, when you just can look at somebody eye to eye, face to face, with nothing hidden, and love them anyway, right? So what I do in every show is I kind of just start shuffling so that I can clear the energy from any past readings. This is also my sign to spirit that I'm about to do a reading. And then just shuffling allows me to connect to your energy. But we'll get to that when it's time. Some little bell will go off in my head, and it's like, you know what? What does Joanne need to know? Because I'm too busy enjoying this conversation. Have you had a reading before?
Yes, I actually do tarot cards.
You do?
I do.
That's wonderful. Okay, so that means I asked all the people. I don't know if you saw the last show that I did was with Shannon Leichner. And Shannon is incredible. Shannon doesn't need the cards. Shannon has been hearing spirit speak all her life, and it was incredible to have her on the show on October 1st, because October 1st was the 8-year anniversary of the Route 99 tragedy in Las Vegas, which was one of the largest mass shootings in American history. And Shannon had a dream 2 months, or a vision 2 months prior to this incident, that she was going to be shot, and she was going to be shot in the side. And she screamed, "I've been shot." And her husband's like, "No, crazy lady, you are laying in the bed. There's no, like, what are you talking about?" 2 months later, she goes to Las Vegas and she is shot in this tragedy. So she came on and we shared her story, and she's been doing amazing things all her life. But she said this was one of a tragedy that really opened up a lot more of her psychic ability, when she knew that this is really what she wanted to do. So since Shannon was an expert, I said, "Shannon, you got to give me some feedback. I'm going to do this reading. I'm going to feel like the student reading for the teacher, but you got to give me some feedback. So Joanne, you got to give me some feedback. You can't just let me off easy, because
we will resourceful together.
I'm here to learn, and that's why my mom told me 20 years ago that I could do readings. And I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, people going to laugh at me. 20 years later, this is all I want to do. But I said, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do my way, which means live, where we can all learn from each other. So I would love to learn from you. I would love for you to learn from me. But I see I'm talking a lot this morning, which is typically what I do early in the morning. I got a lot of energy. But tell me about your experience. You said you read tarot. Like, how did you learn? How did you get into it?
A friend of mine and I, 30 some years ago, we were working together, and we started handling the cards and kind of doing readings for each other at work. And I find that my human resources and human resourceress and coaching ties really nicely with tarot. And I like the Jungian kind of metaphor of tarot. And so I found, I was in the Peace Corps and would read for the other Americans in my group. And it was a way of sharing and just helping people have the experience of seeing themselves a bit differently.
Oh, wow.
So
that's incredible. And you're a coach as well?
Yes. Yeah. So the human resources business is about human resources consulting and then coaching and organization development. And for me, my practice is all around, again, potentiating people, helping people get out of their own way.
Okay. So you're
Yeah,
gonna help me get out my own way?
if you feel like you're in your way.
I don't know. Maybe I am. It's
Yeah.
just so funny. I meet so many interesting people that I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do that. I want to do that. So Shannon was talking about some of her classes that she offers, and she's going down her list, right? And then she gets to a class, and she was like, I help people, erase any financial blockages, blockages that might have come down through their ancestors. I was like, ooh, I want to do that. I want to take that class. Well,
I know.
whatever is going to help. So hey, I might be in my own way. We gonna let the human resources make that determination.
You will know. You will know.
Yes, I think I've been in my own way for 20 years, or 30 years,
Yes.
because back then I had this idea that it was two things. Number one, it was the idea that only certain people could read. That's why my goal now is really just to demystify a lot of the industry, because I think there has been a concerted effort from people within the industry to make it like, oh, well, I'm special. I can do this. You can't. You have to come to me for the messages.
Right.
And then the other aspect is like, I don't want to sit and just turn over cards. Like anybody could turn over a card, but I think you understand more than some people that it's about coaching.
Yes.
It's not just about what the card is accepting. And that's what I say in my description. Yeah. That is my belief that out of 78 cards, why did Joanne get those 10 cards?
Right. Yes.
And if those are the cards and those are the messages that you needed to hear, then there's a reason, and it takes me down this whole rabbit trail of, okay, well, she needed to know that. Why does she need to know that? And how, and I got some feedback. I love this because after the show, all of the guests give me the online feedback, which is always, you're so wonderful, right? And then after, when we're offline, they give me okay, Sharifah, I got to tell you feedback. And I'm like, I love both feedback. It's so wonderful. Yeah. So one of the things that Shannon told me offline, she said that I love the way that you don't see negative, like in the cards, some of the cards that came up. She said so many readers are like, oh my God, this is wrong. And she said, you didn't fall into that. And I'm like, because I tell people all the time, I have a Pollyanna view of life. Yeah. I don't see negative. I see lessons, I see challenges. And then I say, I'm really careful, even if, I could see something, feel something, but my thing, again, I had to mature into it, is how do I deliver that message?
Yes. Yes. I think it was Nelson Mandela who said, I never fail at anything, I learn.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And so the idea that there's something bad, I kind of tried to go to the space where there is good when things are meeting their purpose. And then there's the opportunity to be good.
Yes.
And if it's not quite good yet, then what do you need to do?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm with you.
And I think sometimes when you frighten people, you create, and I've told my kids about this a long time ago, I really truly believe in self-fulfilling prophecies, so when you create this energy of fear or, oh my God, this is about to happen, then guess what? It's like, oh my God, I see you're about to fall off the ledge. Now they're afraid. And instead of walking gently, they're stumbling and they're afraid and they fall off the ledge. So it's how you deliver the message. So when you were doing your readings or even in human resources, have you had, because I know one thing I watched, I don't know if you've ever seen it, they talk about, I think it's Google or one of them that has a special way of firing people. Like instead of actually firing them, they call you in and say, we think you might want to be, look for another place to work. Have you ever had any situations where you had to deliver a message that you knew was going to truly affect someone, but you had to deliver it in a certain way?
Of course, yes, many times. And I think what you're describing, whatever organization that was, that there is a frame about how you give information of your experience to someone else. And that is not a frame of being prescriptive about who and how they are. It's a frame for me that is about encouraging curiosity, helping people understand or to search for their purpose. You know, are you really meeting what you need to, what you want to be deep in your heart in the work that you're doing? Is this bringing you joy?
Yes.
And
I think that was the tone they had.
Yeah. Well, and that if you ever terminate someone and they're surprised, then the organization has failed.
Yes.
Yeah. And so many times people who have lost their jobs have been so much happier afterwards. But that intermediate period is so unpleasant and harmful.
Right.
But also helps you perhaps hold the mirror up. And so I try to help the mirror get held up just so you can have some curiosity. What is in that mirror? Oh, that's
right.
Me. Aren't I weird? So
no, I think you're spot on. I want to say welcome to Tamia Moore. Tamia says knowledge of self is power. Yes, we got a whole lot.
Yes. Well done.
Good morning, Tamia. Tamia is advocated. I love when people come and advocate early in the morning to 8 o'clock here. But that welcome, Tamia. Thank you for joining us. One instance that you like what you were speaking about, Joanne, is that I remember, I've been laid off 8 times, and I remember the very first time I was laid off, it was a complete shock to me. And one of the main reasons that it was a shock is because the whole entire executive staff had went on as if everything was fine. Everything was okay. And I started at this company when we were literally working in a garage, right? The company got funding. We moved out of the garage into these beautiful executive suites where some of the chairs probably cost more than the rent we paid in the garage. And then everything was normal. Everything was fine. I had just received my performance review. And then it was beautiful, stellar. And then like 2 or 3 days later, I'm laid off. So I was completely blindsided.
Yes.
It's one of, I think sometimes people are like, Sharifah, why you keep talking about your layoffs? Because I think we need to do more for people who are laid off, because we don't really pay attention to how layoffs affect people. When you quit a job, you usually quit for a reason where you have something else lined up, where you made this decision, where you're moving out of town, where you have another job, where you're about to be a stay-at-home parent. But this is your choice. When you're fired from a job, whether you admit it to Joanne or not, know you did something wrong, right? But then when you're laid off from a job, your whole entire life is based on this job, this salary, and you're like, I'll be here for the next 50 years. This is what I want to do. I love the company. The company loves me. Just take a look at my performance review. And then 2 days later, that's why my first book is called And Here's Your Box, From Laid Off to Loving Life. Because at the end of being laid off, they always gave me that little box. Take all your pictures off your desk. Here you go, Sharifah. Go on with your life. We thank you. We love you. Goodbye. So I think it's a different energy.
Yes. The something I encourage when I speak with organizations about how they engage with their colleagues, and if a leader has to have a hard conversation, I'll talk to the leader about what's going on in their gut, because generally they're making up a whole story in their head. They're nervous. They don't want to do it. They hate doing it. It's part of their job and they hate it, and they know it will be harmful to the other person. And so I have them focus on themselves, because their energy is creating something that may or may not add value during a conversation with someone to whom they're giving bad information, unpleasant information. And so attending to yourself as the leader as well as to your colleague is important.
Do you ever feel like, I believe, and this is just me, I believe doing human resources is one of the most difficult jobs that you can do. And I think it's because a lot of times, and I tell people all this all the time, like when I went to work to have lunch with my coworkers. Like that was my goal. I love my coworkers. I love, hanging out. And because I work with a good group of people, it was worth the job and the paycheck was nice. But as human resources, you have to always understand that you are an official representative of the company. And sometimes people may just want to have a little chat with Joanne, or they may want to, that's my friend. But now they're telling you about something where it's against company policy. How does that make you feel? Do you ever run into those situations?
I'm now external, so I'm a consultant.
Okay,
well, not running into them anymore. Yes,
not anymore.
But internally, yes, there was always kind of a line to cross, and I felt comfortable both contesting leadership and saying, "Where's your humanity?" as well as contesting my colleagues and saying, "You're being paid for something. Is this something giving you value? And if it's not, think about if you want to be here. There are certain parameters you have to work within." And also being comfortable saying, that I'm here being paid by this company. And so in our engagement about this topic, I have to think about what's best for the company, because that's who's supporting me. And so if you want to continue the conversation, that's cool. But
hey, just know it's on the record.
Yeah. So being able to even go under the record instead of off the record, but under the record, and be able to kind of accept the energy of someone's concerns, because the company also needs to understand that energy and be aware of it without going into details.
Wow. But I mean, still has to be it can be a difficult position to be in, right? Because there are also situations, and it doesn't just apply to human resources, but other executive level positions where sometimes we are not 100% on board with maybe something the company is doing or something the company has said or what the policy is. And one of the things that I learned early on is that there is a difference between a company's policy and a company's culture. So the company may say you're not allowed to do this, but then, hey, it might be an old boys club and this is what they do. So that can put you in a very difficult position.
Yes. And generally, then I really hammer on the company.
Okay.
Say we're not being congruent with what we say, and that's going to cause problems.
I love it.
And then I have left organizations, thought this isn't really making me happy. So see you later.
Just walk away.
Well, probably not that dramatically, but I that's often in my mind. Does this align with who I am? Is it making me inauthentic to be here?
So now you said you're external. So why would a person reach out to someone of your caliber?
Self-curiosity.
Okay.
So on my business card, it says something like the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you understand why.
Okay.
So I help people find their why.
Okay.
Yeah. As well as I work with, there's a lot of nonprofits in the community I'm in. I try to help them be, it's hard in the nonprofit world. They want the same caliber people that are being paid bigger money. In the for-profit world, is it fair to ask people just to work their passion and not get paid? So help them figure out how to see their employees. I was in the Peace Corps in South Africa.
Okay.
And in the Zulu language, the greeting is Sawubona, and it translates to "I see you." And so conceptually, it's not just I see you. It's but I see you in your entirety. I see you. I accept you. I love you. I understand you're imperfect, and I see you. And so when a company or an organization sees their employees, suddenly it's a different relationship. You're not just a head count. I know it's important to you. I know why you're valuable.
I don't think many American companies do that, because there's that expression that the company will replace you before your funeral. They've already moved on to the next employee. But I love how do you help someone find their why?
There's a lot of questions.
Okay.
It's helping them perhaps separate their narrative that they have created that's very vocal in their mind, and then their heart narrative, perhaps, is how to say it. That, how important is money really to you? And let's talk about what that looks like. Why questions often can create a little defensiveness.
Mhm.
And so the questions I try to use stay in, how does that add value to you when this happens? And what, let's look back. What happened? What happened? Tell me, what were you feeling in your heart? What were you feeling in your gut? What was
Mhm.
your body telling you? So having people notice themselves, which will help them discover more about themselves.
It's been my experience as a business consultant, um, working with nonprofits.
Yes.
I work with for-profits, but
Mm-hmm.
the thing that I've seen as far as the energy is that for-profits have no problem asking for the sale, have no problem asking for the money. Whereas I believe, and I've seen many people who have founded nonprofits have come
Mm-hmm.
from corporate America, and corporate America has left them with such a distaste in their
Yes.
mouths that they're like, I just want to help. I just want to help people. And then they launch this nonprofit without the understanding that it's a nonprofit business, right?
Yes.
So at some point,
Mm-hmm.
every business, whether it's for profit or nonprofit,
Mm-hmm.
still has to ask for money. And I
Yeah.
always tell nonprofits, you actually, don't may not see it, but you have it easier because everyone expects you to ask for money. They
Mm-hmm.
expect you to ask for the grants because they already know that in order to save the world, it requires resources. If you need to help people with clothing, you have to get the clothing from somewhere. But they're
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't want the money. The money's evil, and it's like, no, money is not evil. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil. And so you have to really ask. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's just that change in their thought process that
Mm-hmm.
allows them to go out and ask for the money.
Yes, yes. Actually, reframing is a huge part of what I work with people on.
I love that.
Again, it's that, I have this long narrative in my head about I'm this kind of person, the world is this way, da 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 da. Well, it's, we can even check the data and you're probably not quite accurate.
You're a data kind of girl. I love it, Joanne. I love it. I'm kind of intrigued now. I got to see what kind of cards are going to come out with
Ooh, this
for
will be
you.
cool.
But
Yeah,
let's get what you're going to give me. You told me you're going to give me your feedback, Joanne.
you got it.
Okay. You're going
Actually,
to give me,
feedback from a coach tends to be questions to help you assess how you feel.
okay. I don't know if I need feedback. I don't know if I'm ready to do the deep internal thinking. I'm just trying to get the feedback on the cards, trying to see what the
Yeah.
cards say. So when I tap into your energy and I just ask for signs and symbols that I may understand to give you the highest good that you need for your life. And I always recommend people do what they want, that you might want to write down the cards that you receive, because sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it's like, I got it. Sometimes the cards I see and the message I receive means something completely different to you. And the last thing we will want is for you to miss out on the message. So the
Yeah.
first card that I have for you is your issue. And the issue for you is the Empress. I love the Empress. The Empress to me is one of the most beautiful signs
Mm-hmm.
in the deck, the most beautiful cards in the deck. Many people equate the Empress to the pregnant woman. And for me now, I kind of changed it. My view is the Empress is it's time. It's time
Mm-hmm.
for you to give birth to the new life, new
Ooh.
direction that you want to go into. What does the Empress mean to you, Joanne?
Earth Mother.
Earth Mother.
Uh-huh.
Earth
So
Mother. I
very
like,
much what you're saying also. I like the giving birth metaphor. Well done.
yes, because this, I tell people, and I was like, I'm not going to go because depends on my mood. Sometimes I do more talking. Sometimes I do more teaching. Sometimes I'm like, it's the Empress. You got the Empress going with your life, right? But the Empress is one of my favorite. I think it's the one of the most beautiful, but it's also the only card in the deck that has its meaning has changed over time for me. Now, that's not to say the other cards are easy. The other cards may have evolved, which means I have more of an explanation. But the Empress, I didn't like the Empress at all, because
Mm-hmm.
for me, because people always say the Empress is a pregnant lady, and I had 2 kids, and everybody loves about the second trimester. The second trimester is that time when you just like, oh, this is so beautiful. Look, he's kicking. Look, I can feel her little hands. The first trimester, we might be nauseous. We
Uh-huh.
don't even know. But by the third trimester, it's like, if you don't get this baby out of me, I'm ready to have this baby. I'm ready to do it right now. But what we all know is that the baby is not going to be born until the baby's ready, and God's ready for the baby to be born. And so
Yeah.
being impatient, and impatient Aries, I always wanted to happen right now in real time, on my time schedule, not the baby's, not God's. And then I was doing a reading for my dear friend Dawn Lane, and Dawn was like, Sharifah, but that's my message. Anytime I receive the Empress, it means for me it's time. So that's
Okay.
the new meaning that I've adopted, and that's beautiful. Especially in the issue is that I feel that in your life, what you're doing, shining, stepping out there in faith, it's time for you to go into that new direction. And this is beautiful because the next card that you have is the Ten of Cups.
All right.
Ten of Cups. For me, the Ten of Cups is the fulfillment card. So with this new life, there's a lot of happiness. There's a lot of fulfillment. Like you're glowing. 10 for me is completion, but in numerology, we always break down the numbers to the lowest, which would be 1 and 0, which is 1, which also shows that every time you take a new beginning and go into a new direction, it's a cycle, right? So you get to 10, you get to completion, and then you start all over again. So there is a lot of happiness and a lot of fulfillment, but there's also a new journey for you. So what does the 10 of Cups mean for you, Joanne?
It is, celebratory.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, and often I get a lot of swords. I can be very in my head, and so I'm not getting that in this reading. So yay!
I'm agree with you, but the night is young, Joanne. We'll see. We'll see. But it's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Whenever I get a lot of swords in a reading with someone, that's my signal, my sign where I'm like, Sharifah, tread carefully. Tread carefully, because that tells me that the person is usually an overthinker, that they do a lot of thinking, and they may be, and this is again not necessarily you, but this is how what I'm doing as far as teaching is that they may operate from more of a fear-based mentality. And sometimes people think it's easy to just be like, well, what are you afraid of? There's no monsters under the bed. And that's because for you, it's not real. But for that person, it's very, very, very real. So you have to be very careful and deliver the message in a certain way. So that's why I'm very happy to see the Empress. I'm very happy to see the 10 of Cups, a new direction, a new life, fulfillment for you, because the next card that you have is Justice. Justice is a major arcana card. Justice to me is one of the most beautiful signs in the deck. Major arcana cards for me, arcana meaning change. Major changes, minor changes. So a major lesson that we learn in Justice is, to me, and this is what I believe, that life, most situations are ultimately fair, that we tend to reap what we've sown. And so if this new life that you're going into, this new direction, this happiness, the fulfillment that you are going into, is fair. It's what you deserve. You've done the hard work. You've gone through the different times, the different challenges. What's justice for you?
Well, and situationally, and what you've described has been helpful in helping me shape it. It's there's some. I'm in a community foundation, and we're talking about economic equality and justice and mobility, and so that's and it's significant. It's at a community level and new pathways stuff. So.
Joanne's like, I didn't know I was going to be doing readings live.
This is good stuff. I like doing this. Thank you.
You're welcome. The only person, and this is so weird that I'm doing this, because the only other person that I did this to was my mom, because my mom is my teacher. My mom taught me how to read. And my mom always told me, even before this, she was like, Sharifah, you do a do-it-yourself reading. And I'm like, a what? She's like, a do-it-yourself reading, because in all my readings, I basically like, here's the cards. This is what it means to me. Write it down, Google it, figure it out, So I guess that was her do-it-yourself. I think for me, and I try to get out of that, it's really and I'm so honest about it, it's a fear-based thing that I do. It's because I want to make absolutely sure that there's any message in there that the person doesn't miss it, right? I want them to have it all. So if I can't give it to you, maybe Joanne has more meaning. So that's beautiful. So that's justice. The next card that we have for you, beautiful, 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 Six of Swords.
Here we go.
No, it's fine. Six of Swords to me is not a fear-based one. If we get any, I will tell you which ones. I don't want to name them now because then, then they'll show up. Special. Okay, I will. Nine of Swords. That's my number one. Okay, you are imagining it. It's all in your head. You are worrying too much. Let it go. Let go any of the troubles of the past. Fives for me are always challenges. That's always the halfway point. So if you're above five, which you are in the Six of Swords, it means that the worst times are over. So the Six of Swords for me is my passage card, which again is confirmation in with the Empress, that it's time. It's time for you to move forward. It's time for you to get to this new land. It's time for you to get to this new space in your life. So Six of Swords for me is saying the shore is in sight. That dream, that vision, that mission, that goal that you have been like, I want to do this. It's time for you to head in that direction. The only challenge for me in the Six of Swords is that it always it reminds me of being travel weary. Right? So these people have been on the water for, back then, like months at a time. Months at a time. And just like any journey that we start on, at the beginning of the journey, we're always like, hey, I'm ready to go. Let's make this happen. And then 8 years later, we're like, okay, just again with the Empress, it's like, is it time yet? When are we going to get to shore? I'm ready to get offshore, and I live in California. Many cruise lines depart out of Long Beach, right? And there are 3-day cruises, 8-day cruises. You can go on a 2-week cruise, but even, on 3-day cruises, that first day is like, I can eat everything I want. I can go where I want. I can do what I want. And the 3rd or 4th day is like, okay, I got stuff to do. I got to get back home. And for me, that's always the energy of the Six of Swords of going in a new direction, but I'm tired from all the energy and the resources. So I also see that in building companies is that the excitement people have usually when they're launching a new business, launching a new book, launching a new brand, going in a new direction, when it actually becomes a company and you're actually an employee of your company and you have to work every day, all day to make it grow. Sometimes the excitement, can go down. So I always just say, give it that final push and know that the shore is in sight.
Yeah. This is resonating with me in the idea of sometimes we get confused about, are we at a beginning or are we at an ending? And so the idea that shore is in sight is helping me frame that. So.
Yes. That's beautiful. When you say, are we at the beginning or are we at the end? The card that really resonates with that energy for me is actually the Wheel of Fortune, right? Because one of the things the Wheel of Fortune says is that if you're having a run of good luck, just be a little cautious because you may have a run of bad luck. If you've been having a lot of bad luck, then be cautious because, you may have good luck, because the Wheel of Fortune is, first of all, things that are outside of your control and it's very cyclical. And I'm always like, but I don't know if I'm having bad luck or good luck. I'm just here. You know what I mean? It's just life. I need some more clues. Give me some clues because I don't know. That's the one that always makes me think of that. That's beautiful. I love your assistance with
I can be Vanna White and you can be.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I love that. Thank you, Vanna. I'm going to turn over the next card. The next card is the Four of Pentacles.
Ooh, okay.
The Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles for me is the Miser card, right? So in reading this all together with passage and fulfillment and even a new life, the reason it's called a miser is because you can even see it in this picture. He's holding on to his Four of Pentacles. He's holding them to his chest, or she is rather. And the whole idea is that energy, whether it's currency, money, whatever, it's energy. Energy has to flow, which is why it's called a current, right? Currency, a current. It has to flow. It has to move. And so even if I get this in a relationship reading, I always tell people the key is don't hold on too tight. Don't hold on to what you think it has to be. Don't hold on to what you think it has to look like. Because it can materialize in a lot of different ways. So anytime I get the Four of Pentacles, I tell people, my suggestion, I can't tell people what to do, but what I do is I always go shopping. That's my go shopping card. And I tell them, don't go buy a new house, don't go buy a new car, but you could go to the Dollar Tree, the 99-cent store, go. But the whole point is it's a sign to God, to spirit, to the universe, whatever you want to call it, that you trust that whatever all your needs are met, and that you have more than enough. Because if you hold on to it, then you're showing that I don't trust you to deliver, especially in business, right? I also see this as like let go, because sometimes when we're starting a business, not just even starting, when we're in business, right? Maybe we're having tough times, and we like, oh, I really need a new tractor. I just made that up. I don't know why Human Resources need a tractor, right? But you need a new tractor, right? But we're like, I can't do that. I don't have enough. Release.
Yeah.
Allow it to flow. What is Vanna? Your turn.
Well, Sharifah. Who needs Pat Zajac? We've got you.
Right.
Yes. Let's see. The
Four of Pentacles.
Pausing to think, what am I holding on to? Where am I limiting, as well as back to I do a lot of making up stories in my head. What am I making up that is not adding value anymore, or is perhaps not accurate?
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. So let go and let God, because the next card that you have is the Page of Pentacles.
Oh, okay.
See, if you can let go and let God, you'll have a message. You'll have some news. Pages are always about messages. The pages deliver message. In this day and age, your message may come in a phone call, an email, a text. We don't know. It might just show up at your front door with the mailman. But the whole idea is that, again, and this is what I was seeing really for you in the Page of Pentacles. And I was like, wait a minute, you're going too far, too fast. The page is only holding one pentacle. This is not, you're about to hit the lottery card. This is about, Page of Pentacles to me is always about seed money, right? And most businesses, that's usually what they need, is some kind of seed money. Right. That's the initial phase to be able to get, where they're going. So if they get this amount of money, they can utilize that money in order to be able to grow, which is also wonderful in conjunction with the Four of Pentacles, is that maybe something requires you to spend a little bit of seed money, invest a little bit of seed money. I always use the example of, I tell people now, even in doing readings, I would never be able to do this show without Chat GPT, right? I have basically like a little guest template, rather. I'll go to the guest website. This is what I did for Joanne. I'll go to wherever their about page is. I'll copy put it, paste it into Chat GPT, and I'll say, this is the next guest. Give me their show description. Chat comes back, gives me everything about Joanne. I copy, paste it into StreamYard, and we're ready to go. But Chat GPT is $20 a month. That $20 a month allows me to do what I'm doing. So sometimes it's these little small amounts that we invest into our business that will allow us to be successful. And if we try to hold on too tight and not use them, then we actually suffer more in the long run. What does Page of Pentacles mean to you?
Youth is in there for me.
Okay.
And resource. Yeah, but I find that the pages in my tarot readings are always weak. So that's a good information what you've shared.
I've never heard that. I love that. That's why I love to learn. I've never heard the weak part, but you're definitely accurate, because in the days of kings and queens, first of all, I tell people all the time, and they think I'm funny. I'm gonna do stand-up comedy one day. But the king had one job. The king's job was to sit on the throne. That's it. That's all. That's what he did. The king did not get up and run around and do anything. So he had a young boy who was between the age of 13 and 16, who his job was to deliver the king's messages. See, back then they didn't have cell phones or pagers or email.
What?
Yes. So they needed somebody young and who had energy, who could run over there and say, look, can you make the king a sandwich? The king is hungry. So he always delivered the king's message. Just like a knight's energy is the energy of someone between 20 and 25. A young person who basically has, he's finished college.
Yes.
And after we finish college, we think we know everything. But you haven't really fought that battle.
Yeah. So true.
So I love it. And I love your interpretation. I love it. But it's definitely youth. So again, we're telling you, you're going on in this new life, this new journey. You're going to get to shore, and don't hold on tight, because you're going to get all the money and the resources you need. Because the next part that you got is the Chariot, which is one of my favorite, especially being an Aries. The Chariot is a major arcana card, and the Chariot's job and the Chariot's role was to go out into the battlefield and to cut through, right? So the Chariot moves things forward very quickly, quickly. But you also see in the Chariot is that he's not worried, but he has complete control over the black horse, the white horse, but he has to move things forward, right? Perfect balance. So the Chariot to me is always about, in this new journey, you moving forward into this new life very quickly. What does the Chariot mean for you?
There's a control in it. Yeah. And kind of directional opportunity choice. Yeah.
I like that. He has complete control of life and what's happening. He's not worried, but he has to cut through the battle. He has to cut through these ideas. He has to cut through anything that's not serving his highest good, because that's what life is about. It's just whatever is serving your highest good. The next card that you have is the Eight of Wands. The Eight of Wands. And I for some reason, the Eight of Wands has just been jumping out. So that's a good thing. I think it's the energy in the air, because almost everybody's like Eight of Wands.
I know.
Eight of Wands. So you know what, Joanne? Eight of Wands. Right? The Eight of Wands is one.
I think it's probably for you.
No, it's for you.
It's coming up for you. So there's we can have reciprocal messaging here.
Maybe. I received that into my spirit. Yes. Because I think the last couple of times it was actually in the same position, right? So Eight of Wands is one of my favorite cards because I don't want to do a lot of work, right? So maybe that's why we're all getting it, because I don't want to do a lot of work. That's why I'm having Joanne do her own reading, because I don't want to do the work, right? So the Eight of Wands shows, and I can't really try to get the people. Okay, here it is. See, the Eight Wands are already in the air. The Eight Wands are already on their way to you. So there's nothing that you have to do to be but receive them, which is also confirmation of the Page of Pentacles, that it's on its way. The money's on its way. The opportunities are on its way. So you don't have, this is not about going out and initiating anything. This is not about taking the next steps. It's about waiting for the message, the opportunities to come to you, and then moving forward with the surety and the confidence that this is what you are meant to do. The only challenge that I always see in the Eight of Wands is just to deliver the message of discernment. Right? Because you have 8 opportunities, and that's not to say literally in life that you're going to get 8. You might get 6, you might get 18. I don't know, right? But you have to determine what opportunities call to you, what opportunities work for you, and I've experienced that in life, just being a business consultant. People are always like, I want you here, I want you here, I want you here. And, at this event, that event, this event, come here. And when I started out, I was everywhere. Now, when people invite me, I'm like, okay, what am I doing? Am I a part of the event? I'm not going just to sit in the audience. Am I getting paid to go to this event? But I'm more selective. So that's what I always say. Just because you receive all of these opportunities, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to accept all of these opportunities. Decide what's for the highest good for Joanne. Decide what Joanne wants. And it's Wand. So again, actions, movement. But you see, I'm just going to point this out, even though we're not completely finished, but you only have received one sword so far. You know what I mean? So again, you got the money. You got some action, you got
Yeah.
some love, you got some movement. You're definitely on the right path. You're definitely where you're supposed to be. So what does the Eight of Wands mean to you?
Well, in this reading, what it's meaning to me is, but I am believing that there is a message in that card for you in this reading also.
Okay.
And that perhaps we are one of those arrows doing this, or I'm curious about what magic we might make together in
Okay.
the business world. So I don't know what that looks like, but that might be one of the arrows. Is kind of what I'm getting.
Okay.
As
Well, we have
well
to
as,
talk about it.
that's right. When you held up the card, and I couldn't really kind of figure out what was showing, it looked like a flying witch. And I'm finding my crone. I'm in my late 60s now, and I'm finding my crone, and so I have some witchy energy. So that was attractive.
That is so beautiful. I don't know exactly what age it comes, because I tell people again, 20 years ago, I never would be able to do this. I'm 49. I turned 50 in March. I'm like, I'm finding my crone. Like I'm more of that wise woman. And one thing that a crone will tell you is they don't care what you think. They don't care if you believe. And I can see it more in my readings. I did a reading the other day, and the whole reading was just resounding. Teamwork makes the dream work. You need help. You can't go at it alone. And the lady was like, I don't have any help. I'm like, you need help. She was like, but I don't have the help. I'm like, I don't care about that. Like, what I mean? I'm telling you, so you see, I think at 20 something, you're like, I don't know. It might be saying that. And now I'm like, this is what I'm telling you. And I try, that's one reason, again, that I try to give as much information as possible. I give the upside. I don't do reversals, because for me, there are no negatives. There are only challenges. Yes. But the challenge for me in the Eight of Wands is discernment. Discern. Decide. Just because everybody loves you don't mean you have to love everybody.
Yes.
That's really my message in the Eight of Wands.
Yes.
The next card, let's see what the next card is. Joanne, woo, I love this. This is a good reading, girl. We're gonna talk. What we gonna do together? Because you got the strength.
Oh, yeah.
See?
Yes. See? Yeah.
And that is one of my most favorite cards. What I always point out in this card is that what she's doing is she's holding the mouth of the lion closed, right? But what we have to understand is the lion is there because the lion chose to be there. He's not there because she forced him to be there. So this is not about brute force. So in this new direction and these new opportunities, it's not about approaching it through brute force. It's not about making it happen. It's not about forcing it happen. It's about simply allowing it to happen. Trust your inner strength, your inner voice, your inner, this is about inner strength. And that's why I just love that card, because, only a beautiful woman can convince a lion to lay down.
Ooh, there's a t-shirt.
I might need that t-shirt.
Yeah.
What does strength mean for you?
Well, right before you pulled that card, one of my cats was sitting here with me.
Oh.
And she took off when you pulled the card. So
she didn't like the lion.
No, I think it was just like she was bringing it in, and then she did her job and she left.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. But you know how hard it is to force a cat to sit. Like, if cats start moving and they're out of there. Yes. They're gone, but if the cat wants to sit with you and wants to be rubbed, and that's really what it's about. So when I do a reading, I always do a 10-card reading. You have had 9 cards. We talked about it. We laughed about it. And I think the message is really clear, about a new life, new direction that you're going into, new projects, new opportunities, moving forward quickly, going from one aspect to another. But at the end of the day, Sharifah, you didn't ramble on, went off on many tangents. At the end of the day, what is the final outcome? What does Joanne need to know? And that card for me, I told you, no swords for you. It is my favorite, the one I talked up, the wheel of fortune. And what the wheel always tells us, and it's a major arcana card again. Life is always cyclical. We go from one point of life, the wheel is always turning, and there are things that sometimes simply are outside of our control, which is a beautiful confirmation that you have 8 wands that are on their way to you, messages of finances that are coming to you. And a lot of what is being shown to me again is that even though there's an aspect of karma, which basically means you've done the work in the past, there is still an aspect of just being blessed and highly favored, and those things coming to you through ways that you couldn't have, forced to happen and make happen. So I love the Wheel of Fortune for you. I love just hang in there and make things happen. What does the Wheel of Fortune mean for you?
That the wheel is spinning. The potential is there.
Yes.
There's many things in play, and kind of the whole reading for me has been there's so many major arcana cards. Like,
yes.
Wow, that's significant.
Yes.
Just
I always say that when it's funny how you notice what you notice, and it's whenever there are a lot of major arcana cards, I'm always like, hang on for the ride. That tells me there are shifts and there are turns. People say with the Wheel of Fortune that some things just are happy. That to me is win the lottery card. Now I'm not saying that you're going to win the lottery card, but some things just come down to luck. Like how many people purchase lottery tickets? Millions of people purchase the lottery ticket, right? And this one person wins. So it's not an action that they've taken. They didn't do anything per se to become the winner. It's just they were the winner who was selected. But for me, who I always try to look at it from a spiritual aspect, because I don't believe in luck. I believe in God. I believe in blessings. I believe in favor. And so everything tells me that you are blessed, you are highly favored, and that there are good times ahead. Got to do the happy dance. I love it. Now, Joanne, we are coming down to the last few moments of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my guests the opportunity to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who was watching this show live, as well as everyone who was watching it in the archives, and let them know what you want them to take away from your reading here today or your appearance.
Ooh, there I am. Let's see. I want you all to know, and I want to first thank Sharifah. You have a gift in how you read the cards, in how you introduce the information, the energy that you bring. You're very much part of it, as well as it's individualized to me. So well done. And I am Joanne Lakomski, the Human Resorceress. I work with people to help them potentiate and live their purpose, find their way, have some fun as they go through life. And sometimes it costs money, and sometimes it just doesn't. So I hope you all do well out there. And thank you again, Sharifah. Are you coming back?
I'm coming back. I'm right here. It wasn't about me. This is your moment. This is your time to see what Spirit has.
No one is alone.
Yeah, I'm here. I had your back. I was behind you. I was right there. Vanna was on the side. Vanna can't be on every scene, right? So this is beautiful. Joanne, thank you for giving us your time, your energy, and helping me and assisting me to do your reading today. I definitely appreciate you. I want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch the show live, as well as everyone who was watching it in the archives. And like I always say, if this reading came across your social media, you're watching it on my website, the message that you received is the message that you were meant to receive today. And if you want your own reading and you want to sit right there where Joanne is, you can visit my website at readmelive.com. Until next time, everyone have a safe and a blessed day.